Hello, my name is Will Dean. I'm the Forest author. Today I'm going to talk about imposter syndrome. Hope you're well. I'm here in my cabin. My giant cat is outside somewhere prowling around, hunting its prey. And I am interested in imposter syndrome. It's talked about quite a lot these days on Twitter, on Facebook, in person, and I want to explain what I think it means, how I sometimes get it, how I think most people sometimes get it, and why I think it can be a good thing. So I think most of you probably understand what imposter syndrome means. It's kind of means what it says. Like, you feel like you're an imposter sometimes. You feel like you do not deserve to be in whatever group or whatever kind of situation you find yourself in. And I think most published authors sometimes feel this way. Especially in the early days, you can feel like you're on a panel with some authors. I've been on panels with authors who I've admired for years, who I've read for years, who I really look up to. And sometimes I sit on that panel and I look around and I think, how the hell did this happen? I was on 2 panels in Listowel, which is a fantastic festival. It's called the Writers' Week in Listowel in Ireland a couple of months ago. And I was on one panel with Jane Casey and Liz Nugent, 2 authors I admire a great deal. And I had that kind of imposter thing where I was like, you know what I mean? And then I was on a panel, I think the next day, and 2 of the people on that panel, one was Ola Guerin, BBC foreign correspondent, and one of them was Kit de Wall, fantastic author who I've looked up to and admired and read for years. And I just, again, found myself thinking, I should be in the audience listening to these people, you know? So that sense of feeling like an imposter and feeling like you don't deserve to be on stage is normal, I think. It's natural. And you just got to get over it somehow. You just got to start talking. If you've been put there, then you just got to believe that somebody wants to listen to whatever you've got to say. So I think imposter syndrome is completely natural. The first time I went to a crime festival, I think it was Harrogate, and I bumped into people like Mark Billingham and Val McDermott and Stuart Neville and Steve Kavanagh and Abir Mukherjee, Vaseem Khan, Fiona Cummins was there, Martina Cole was there, and I thought, and I wasn't even published at this point. You know, I had a book deal, but I wasn't published, and I used to think, I'm here with my heroes. This is very odd. I think the way you get through it is just by focusing more and more and more on your process. Focus more on your reading and your writing. Try and write better. The time I get imposter syndrome more than any other is when I read something that's great. So by way of example, My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. She's a debut novelist. The book came out, I think, earlier this year. It's been longlisted for the Man Booker Prize, or the Booker Prize. Is it called the Booker Prize? I don't know. Anyway, brilliant book. And it's one of those books where I read it and I think, wow, I've still got a lot to learn. And I think I'm going to be feeling that in 30, 40 years' time. I think in 40 years' time, if I reread, which I will, Cormac McCarthy's No Country for Old Men, or Sarah Waters' The Little Stranger, if I reread those, I'm still going to think, I'm not there yet. I need to keep working. I need to keep improving. I need to keep sacrificing time so that I can read more and I can write better. But I think in some ways this is natural to anyone in any industry or in any creative field. You feel like an imposter sometimes. And that whole fake it till you make it attitude doesn't really work in an artistic world, because I'm putting my work out there for you to judge. So I can't fake it. I'm just got to write the best I can and work away at trying to improve my writing. So I've read all of Cormac McCarthy's books, for example. He hasn't written that many. And I can see a clear progression from book 1 to book 2 to book 3, all the way through to No Country for Old Men, and then to his latest novel, The Road, I can see a clear improvement in his writing style. The first books he ever wrote have his voice in there, but they seem quite rough and quite experimental. He's trying things out, whereas you get to No Country for Old Men, and then especially The Road, and it's just so perfect. He's stripped away all of the stuff that he has realized doesn't work so well, and he's honed and narrowed down his art and his craft to this beautiful, beautiful thing. The way he writes, the way he tells a story, the way he introduces a character, the way he builds tension. You know, the tension in that scene in No Country for Old Men. It's done very well in the book, and it's done very well in the movie, where Anton Chigurh, played by Javier Bardem, is in a gas station, and he's just kind of toying with the owner of the gas station.
Y'all getting any rain up your way?
What way would that be?
I seen you was from Dallas.
What business is it of yours? Where I'm from? Friendo?
It's just incredible. It's some of the best writing out there. And Cormac McCarthy, genius that he is, could not write that 40 years ago. He could not write that 30 years ago. He can write that now. And that's because he's a writer I really truly respect, because he's deep into his art. He's working away, squirreling away on his own, trying to improve, trying to write stories better. He doesn't really give interviews. He doesn't do anything kind of public. He's just deep. He's in deep. And it's working, because every single book is better than the last. And I like to think that Cormac probably felt some imposter syndrome at the beginning as well, in the early days. But I certainly feel huge amounts of imposter syndrome when I reread Cormac McCarthy, when I read Shirley Jackson, when I read Stephen King. And for me, it just drives me to work harder and to think more laterally and to open up my imagination even more than it is already. For me, the most important thing about my writing career is A, that it's long. Like, I want to do this until the day I die, because it is what I love to do. And B, that I get better. My storytelling needs to evolve, and I need to get better at it. But I talked about this in an earlier video, how when I started to write Tuva Moodyson book 4, the first draft back in April, I lost all of my confidence halfway through. And that's partly because I had read for the first time ever Mystic River by Dennis Lehane just before I started writing that draft. And I was really knocked over by the quality of that book and by the kind of the purity and the strength of his storytelling. How he weaves the story of those 3 boys through that tight Boston neighborhood.
Hey, Divine. What you looking at?
The old neighborhood.
There are places that make us who we are.
Save!
Into the present day in the book is just incredible. The skill that he has as a writer is just so powerful to me. So it knocked my confidence. I literally went into writing that draft thinking, why do I bother? And what I did is I kept working. I kept on working. I kept on writing that draft. I kept on trying. I kept on thinking. And in the end, I got a draft out of me. And I will make that draft a good book. I can do that. I know I can do that now. But that imposter syndrome, that feeling of inadequacy was real. And if you don't get over that and force yourself to just write the best you can, then you're going to kind of then you're just going to stop. And that's no way to be, that's no way to progress. So imposter syndrome is normal, it's natural. I think it's healthy, it keeps your ego in check, but you need to get over it and keep writing. Hope that's been helpful to someone, anyone. I enjoyed making it. It's good to talk to you. I will be back again very soon with a new video. Please do subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Share this on social media. If you're in a writers group or something like that, tell your friends about these videos, and I will be back very soon with the next one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.